As the Russia-Ukraine conflict drags on, oil tanker rates are rising as more and more sanctions are being imposed on Russian energy. This is causing an idling of Russian oil tankers, and Russia owns one of the largest fleets in the world of oil tankers, and this is pretty damn good for non-Russian oil tanker stocks, like the one I own, NAT, which is up by 46% year to date. From its lows, it's up by close to 100%. So today we're going to be talking about NAT, my position in NAT, and where I think the conflict is going, and obviously where NAT stock is going. And I think that's to the moon. So welcome back to another video. This is my position in NAT. I own 350 shares. I bought last year, and let's just say I was down a lot more than just 50%. And so given the year-to-date change of about 46% up, it would need to basically do that again for me to break even. My break-even cost would be $5.70 per share. Still hurts to be down $1,000, but I've been saying from the beginning, as soon as NAT started to slide, the NAT would get back up again. I've already received quite a few dividends from NAT, so I mean, I'm not down 50% in total, but I'm probably down by about, and I also bought when oil tanker rates were amazing during the initial pandemic, where oil tanker rates were to the moon because there was a lot of floating storage. No one wanted oil, so a lot of the tanker rates were being used as floating storage, which basically dwindled the fleet. We have kind of a similar situation, but this time it's due to the war, where a lot of the tankers are out of commission, and these are mainly Russian oil tankers. And whenever you decrease the supply of something like oil tankers, and especially you can't just build a tanker out of thin air, it takes a couple of years to build an oil tanker. So when you decrease the supply of something, it's kind of an inelastic supply and demand shock. So basically what happens then is the rates of tankers go to the moon because you take off the supply, and companies like NAT profit from that. So we're going to explain that a bit more in depth, but basically I received dividends, so I'm probably down by about $700 right now. So that's just my position for full disclosure. And I'm holding my shares for a while. I think that their NAT stock can go much higher than this, and they'll also increase their dividend, which will make the stock even look better for investors. So this is just one update from NAT. Potential uncertainty normally creates strong markets for our vessels. There is now solid momentum in the market. We're currently securing spot contracts that are above $50,000 per day per ship. Our operating costs are about $8,000 per day per ship. Just because their operating costs are $8,000 does not mean that they're pulling a profit as soon as oil tanker rates go above $8,000. That's not true at all. Generally, oil tanker fleets have a lot, and I'm talking about a lot of debt. So they have to service the debt. And so when you're talking about, on average, how much it costs to run each ship, it's obviously very dependent on how much debt they have. But also how many days in the quarter are their ships active. Not every day are they securing a contract of $50,000 a day. You have to dry dock these vessels, you have to do maintenance on these vessels, which takes away obviously the potential earnings. And so even though that the operating costs are $8,000 per day per ship, that does not mean that even though they secure $50,000 a day for 1 month, that does not mean that the other days in the month the vessel is also being paid for $50,000 a day. So it's kind of misleading. For example, in their Q4 report, they earned $10,100 per day per ship. However, they lost 21 million. So it's, just because their operating costs per ship is $8,000 does not mean that they're earning money as soon as their spot rates are above $10,100. Of course, I expect, even though that there's this sort of pessimistic outlook, I do see NAT becoming profitable in the near future. I would say Q3 of 2022 for sure they're going to be profitable, especially mainly because of the Russia-Ukraine crisis, which we'll go into depth a little bit. Q2 might be also decent. And Q1, yeah, that's kind of, I guess, like the start of the whole conflict. and things were slowly rising. So I would expect to see some pretty good numbers coming out of NAT in the foreseeable future. So again, I'm a long-term shareholder. Right now, we're getting paid a paltry 1 cent dividend, so that's like $3.50 for my 350 shares that I own. However, I do see this going up as they improve their financial position, and they're also paying down their debt and renewing their fleet. So right now, oil tankers are looking good. Tanker rates have been climbing. So Bloomberg released a report saying that a lot of Russian oil tankers are basically idling, especially in European waters. And this one company has so many Aframax vessels, which are the smallest types of oil tanker vessels, which carry 500,000 barrels of crude. Just for your own information, the largest vessels are VLCC, very large crude carriers. Very, interesting name there, very creative. They carry 2 million barrels, so 4 times more than Aframax. But even Aframax earnings, they were around $0, like maybe between $0 and $10,000 in February, and look how they spiked up. They went back down again, but they spiked up from basically, okay, let's just, $10,000 to $70,000, a 7x increase in the span of, a couple of days, and then sharply went down and then went back up again. So, if this war is prolonged, which is the next kind of step, I mean, I hope that this war ends super quickly to end the suffering, to end what many people are calling genocide in Ukraine. I mean, I've seen some of the pictures come out of it, and it's absolutely horrific what Russia has been doing to just innocent civilians in Ukraine. And I mean, I really hope that this conflict boils over quickly. But I think the reality of the situation is that Putin will not accept defeat. And I mean, even though it is defeat to the rest of the world, he will try to take, right now it's looking like the Donbass region, sorry if I mispronounced that, and call it a victory or something like that. But the more that this war prolongs, the more likely I feel, and many other analysts feel, you should check out the Economist podcasts, that this will be a pretty drawn out, brutal war. Right now, Russia seems to be refocusing its efforts. It's leaving Kyiv and going more eastward in Ukraine to secure those regions. But again, because of the atrocities that are happening in Russia, the US, European, and NATO allies have all been imposing more embargoes on Russian oil. And part of this is that oil tankers are now idle because no one wants to buy Russian oil, which are obviously being carried on Russian ships. And this article here from Bloomberg says it pretty well. So 9 Aframax vessels owned by Russian Sovomcloft have been idling at sea for more than a week after discharging cargoes, according to ship tracking data. That's more than a quarter of the company's such tankers observed operating around the coasts of Europe and North America. And these are, I guess, this idling tankers here. Is the majority owned by the Russian government, which owns 83% of the shares. Sovangom's fleet isn't subject to measures that would prevent it from trading, but countries including the UK and Canada aren't allowing Russian ships to dock following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. There's also been awareness among oil companies about touching the country's petroleum, while the US and UK have announced plans to stop taking supplies from Russia. Now, a lot of this oil is going to China, and China is basically buying this oil at a discount, and China is an ally of Russia, but is still, at least for the time being, and I think as long as there's a lot of restrictions on Russia, you're looking at not only Aframax tanker rates, but Suezmax tanker rates, which NAT owns, going, I think, through the roof. And again, like I said, I really hope that the conflict will resolve, but it's looking like this is going to be a prolonged, bloody war, and will not end soon. There's, talk about peace talks, but they haven't really been going anywhere. If you're interested in investing in NAT, I mean, I'm not a financial advisor. Do what you want. I do see NAT stock going higher, especially if you look at the fourth quarter report of 2021. Their tanker rates were $10,100 per day per ship. They're securing spot rates right now at $50,000 per day per ship. So I could see the average time charter equivalent going from like $10,000 maybe to like 30,000 or 20,000 to 30 to 40 or whatever, and maybe even more in the future. at least in 2022. And so I see the price of NAT steadily going up. I mean, you're looking at the past month, it's up by 32%. Of course, we've seen what happened during the pandemic, the Roni pandemic. It's high. It went over $7 a share before coming crashing down. And I mean, we've seen its lows were at $1.44, and now it's starting to pick up back up. So again, I see this. I would say in the next couple of months, I could see NAT again doubling. So potentially to I would say $5 or $6 by the end of 2022. That's probably my prediction right now. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't listen to me. I'm just saying I will be holding my shares in the hopes of basically what I plan on doing is if it reaches $6 or more, I'll probably start to sell off some of my position, maybe hang on for some of the dividends. But it's been such a wild ride with NAT. I'm looking to diversify basically all away from oil. And I just don't believe oil is the future. Yeah, and I mean, if you're looking for other stocks, I know that Uranav is like the darling of oil tankers. Over the past month, it's up 15%. Year to date, it's up 42%. So even more than NAT, actually about the same as NAT. And it hasn't been going as bad as NAT basically. Over the past 5 years, it's up 65%. So this is a more secure play, less volatile. So if you're interested right there, I also recommend Uranav stock, Frontline, also another pretty good company. Year to date is probably up 29%. Okay, not bad. Past year, 33%. Past 5 years, 47%. So yeah, that's also another company to look at if you're interested. Market cap of 2.5 billion. So NAT is more the retail trade play. So if you're looking for a lot of volatility, go to NAT. Let me know what you think about this video and this content. Please leave a like down below. Just takes a second, but it helps me tremendously to grow my channel. Please subscribe as well. And if you're looking for more content, just leave a suggestion down below. Love you all. Also check out my free Discord again in the description. And yeah, peace. Stay safe out there. Love you all. And yeah, have a good one.